thrill with darkness and silence through the night. What a thrill. I'm searching and I'll melt into you. What a fear in my heart, but you're so supreme. I give my life, not for honor, but for you. In my time, there'll be no one else. Crime, it's the way I fly to you. I'm still in a dream, snake eater.
Now we can fight as warriors, hand to hand. It is the basis of all combat. Only a fool trusts his life to a weapon.
It is time, my dudes. We are live. Welcome to the 23rd episode of the Worldwide Company of Gamers podcast. I hope you are all doing well this evening and excited. I know I am so freaking excited you will not believe. What a special show we have in store for you folks tonight. It is a landmark episode. Probably my proudest episode to bring to you guys yet. We're having technical issues. Please forgive me, folks. As always, Discord is playing up, and DZ is still waiting to get into Discord, so we're just waiting on him, but he'll get here at some point, I have no doubt. But what am I saying? Let's introduce our most esteemed guest of, I don't know, since ever. I mean, we've had the incredible David Jaffe on in the past, and this is definitely one of those kind of landmark moments for us as a panel and as a podcast. We have NXG, NX Gamer. How are you, my dude?
I'm very good, Wooly. Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here. I appreciate it. And that epic intro, it's, again, don't feel worthy. I'm just a geezer that does stuff online, but I do appreciate the support. Thank you.
Hey, the honor is ours, and you're definitely a geezer, all right, my dude. But you're an epic geezer at that, and we're truly honored that you're here with us. You're somebody that I've followed for years, and I mean, all the panel has been so excited about tonight because they all rate you, my guy. Everyone in the chat has been losing their minds that you're on the podcast tonight. So excited about it, and so I think I can speak for everyone here tonight and all the chat as well when I say thank you so much for being here. It's truly an honor. You have no idea. So thank you. So let's introduce you to the panel. We all know who you are, but do you know who we are? So I'm Wooly Gamer. I'm just an average guy. I'm not any kind of techie or expert or anything like that. But I was just a random guy who had a dream, and that dream a year ago was to create a podcast with critical thinking and experienced and knowledgeable and credible sources of insight, information, knowledge, etc. As a panel members, and bring them together. And that's why this is such an honor for us to have you tonight, because you're really kind of up there in that regard. And so the panel that we have are all really experienced in some way or another, and I'd like to just introduce you to these guys. So I mean, we'll start off with Akira. How are you, my dude? Tell us about yourself. Akira, hello. You've gone really quiet.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Now we can.
Wait. Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can, bro.
Okay, so yeah, my name is Akira, and again, like I said, I'm a huge fan of of the videos NXG. I'm normally at Twitter. I normally advocate games from the East because, like I said, I'm always the guy pushing that the game industry is growing bigger than ever before, and I think people should start thinking bigger because a lot more talented people want to join the gaming space, and I'm more than happy for it. And a lot of them is from the East, like I mentioned, China and South Korea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping to see more in Japan, of course.
Awesome. HD Gamer, what's good, bro? Welcome.
Hey everyone, I've just taken myself off mute. I was too excited. I started talking without taking that off. Yeah, hey NXG, welcome to the panel. It's so exciting. I guess first and foremost, I'm just a fan. I'm a fan of everyone on this panel, and particularly of yourself. I've watched, I don't know, I think every video for the last 2 years probably, and some of them multiple times. But yeah, my background, it's not technical, not in computers. I just like to have a bit of a objective, sort of analytical view of the topics that sort of go off on Twitter and gaming in general. And I guess a lot of the points I put forward, I guess you'd be my main source. So yeah, welcome, and this is an exciting podcast.
Thanks, man. Cracking accent, by the way. Love the Australian accent.
Bonza.
Bonza, mate.
OT, what's good, brother?
Hey. Of course, I'm excited. NXG is just one of those really authentic guys. Let me not praise him too much, but I've had the pleasure of talking with him privately before in terms of messages, and I can tell you he's such a fantastic character. And I think one of the reasons we love him so much is because, this is coming from a troll. NXG, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but I'm a troll. I can't lie. But what I like about when you do your work, you do it professionally and you articulate things that are very complicated in a manner we all can understand. So I just wanted to tell you that is one of the things I love about your work. So it's an honor to be here.
Thank you, Otty. It means a lot. Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
And last but by no means least, Wilhelm. How are you doing, bro?
Hello there, I'm doing well. I actually wanted to greet you guys before the show started, but it seems NFT Gamer's extravagant stardom has outshined me, so my words were practically useless. But anyways...
NFT Gamer. I can't believe you just called him that. That's hilarious.
Anyways, NXG, I believe. I'm sorry, I'm not that familiar with your work. Don't mean to be disrespectful in that case. NXG is your name, right? Or
NXG.
Yeah, it's all good, man. No disrespect. It's all good.
Okay.
Anyway, bro, we need at least one person on the panel to not know him, to cover everyone. It's all good.
NXG, basically, I am Wilhelm, and I am the least popular character on the podcast. My personality traits is I just love games, especially 90s boomer shooters, all the Quakes, all the Dooms, all the Duke Nukems. Those are my jam. And David Lynch is my mentor, and Charlie Sheen's my Grand Wizard Master.
Charlie Sheen, wow.
Yeah.
Going to win a chicken dinner.
He's literally, I describe Wilhelm as a mini John Linneman with Herman Hulst's accent. And that's pretty much sums him up perfectly, down to a T. We have DZ on his way, although he's still struggling. He's just in the queue waiting to get into Discord. And DZ is a developer. I'll just intro him now to you so you know him, NXG, for when he comes in. He's a developer currently at Fireslug. He's got great ambitions and he's getting ever closer to reaching his dream goal of working for a very well-known Sony first-party studio, recently acquired. Do I need to say any more? And he's a very talented guy, and he absolutely loves you. So, okay, moving on. Let's get to what we're all here for. This is literally the NXG show. So, first of all, NXG, we'd just love to get to know a bit more about you, your passion. What got you into this position that you're in right now in this industry with your YouTube channel, with working for IGN, altogether your technical analysis expertise.
Well, it's a probably long, boring story. I'll try and keep it short. But effectively, I've been working with computers and technology since school. So since the late 70s, early 80s. So I got into things like the Spectrum, the Commodore 64, Commodore Amiga, and obviously it was all pretty new then, and computer stuff in school, computer science was pretty basic in terms of, I got to a point where I was better than the teacher that we were taught at the time because it was still new. So I always felt like I understood computers quite early on. So it was quite clear to me that as a job, that was where I was going to go. So I kind of went into IT and finance companies, retail companies, private, public sector, and worked through all that. And then kind of you get a bit distilled, I think, in all of that environment, because it's all very commercial, it's all very capitalized, and there's good things and there's bad things. It's like everything, there's always a bit of a balance. And I got to a position where I was more senior and I was leading more people and running teams and doing less hands-on and more managing and planning and architectural stuff. So there was a little more time in my calendar than there used to be. And I had it was just after, but I had a bike accident as well, which gave me a few weeks off because it was a pretty bad motorcycle accident. I nearly ended my life. Let's put it that way. But that gave me a little bit of an impetus to try and put a little bit more effort into this. Now, the reason I was into it, I've always been into games, always been into playing around, making games, doing demos, trying to create things in engines, even writing basic stuff back on 64. So I've always understood that. And fundamentally, there's not a lot that's changed back then to what it is now. It's more complex, there's more nuances to it, and there's certainly more elements, but computers are computers, CPU instructions and caches and all the kind of data elements, memory allocations, everything else, all of that is the same. So I kind of always kept myself hands-on in terms of what I can do, both in my full-time job and obviously looking at playing around with engines and making stuff on PC or even messing around with emulators and stuff over the years. So I've always been on that side. And then I kind of I didn't really watch YouTube until probably 2012. I think that's when I didn't even know it existed. I think just life and everything else going on, I didn't really know about YouTube, and then things just happened and I got into it and watched some channels, and I just kind of saw, like, when I was a kid growing up, you had old TV shows like Database and Tomorrow's World and things like that kind of gave you a very clean, distilled, factual information on the subject matter, which might have been things like cassettes and Walkmans and CDs when I was a kid growing up, things that were brand new. And I kind of thought, well, there's no one doing that, there's nothing out there, and everything's very dramatic and shouty and angry and just all the extremes that I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy that kind of stuff. It's not my type. So I thought I'll make something that I enjoy. So that's fundamentally why I started making these videos. And it was all around trying to find a niche. And do I try and be a bit exaggerated? And I think some videos I did that, where I tried to be a little bit over enthused in terms of discussion, and it's not natural. So very quickly, within the first few videos, I kind of got to a natural point. And then I really wanted to just explain things and break things down, just one, for clarity, but also because I think it helps people to appreciate things, and also get to understand, actually, this isn't as good as you think it is just because it's got something going on. So it was all around that kind of TV shows that I grew up as a kid in a subject matter that I've always loved as a kid, which is games and computers. So that's the boring, shortish story of why I'm here. It's always been my passion. Visual effects, makeup effects as a kid, I was always into that kind of cinema and the creation side of it. So a lot of it is all smoke and mirrors. Games are all completely smoke and mirrors. That's the point of them. And I've always kind of understood that, being from the technical background and also digging into stuff. There's a lot of research that I've done over the years, especially in the COVID lockdown period. I've read more white papers than I can remember recently, because you get all this time back. So I think some of that is me wanting to give something that I would myself would enjoy to watch, and also the naive potentially idea of trying to reduce the anger and the hate that can happen in terms of my platform's better than your platform and this is better than yours and all that kind of stuff, and just literally going down there, look, take all that out. It's a plastic box. We all like games. People make games. Hardware doesn't, and it's all around that kind of delivery message. Not a message, because that sounds arrogant. It's not a message, but more education or entertainment or whatever, the merging of the two. That's the point.
Wow. I mean, I don't where to begin. That's so awesome that you just passionately were kind of drawn to it as a from your early years, and you seem to have this brain that understands things and can decipher things, and it's a test, you know, and you what you were saying about your passion to want to try and just explain it in a less intense way, and a way for people to understand and connect to, rather than it just being all this blairish kind of loud noise that was kind of popular back in the day, and still is popular today even. I mean, we all know TikTok, right? It says everything, and it's a credit to you just how far you've realized that vision that you had with your channel. I think I can speak for everyone when I say that. It's a true credit to you.
Yep.
So no, but thanks for your background, Mike. So for those who, oh, by the way, just a quick one, Mike. I want to give a shout out to 2 panel members right now that aren't here tonight. David Faulkner, he's our latest acquisition, and he's a fantastic guy. I've told you a bit about him. You know who he is. Everyone in the chat should know who he is. Definitely give him a follow. His name's in the description below. And also Leviathan Gamer. He's a software engineer. He's been going through a really tough time with family illness recently, so he's not been present on the last few shows, but he sends his deepest regards. I believe you already know who he is. And
I do. We've chatted before. He's a good guy. Yeah,
he's a very good guy. 100% agree with you there. So they send their love and respects and regards to you, and to everyone in the chat too. And shout out to everybody in the chat. You're all lit tonight, and it's just awesome to see you all here. Regulars and new faces too. You all know who you are. I appreciate every one of you. Don't think that I don't notice. I do. I'm just a little bit preoccupied at the moment. Hope you understand. So NXG, your time's valuable. You only have about an hour with us, so want to make the most of that count. So I'd just like to first of all ask you the 3 main questions that the show has prepared for you, but we have more as well. We'd like to ask about, what games are you looking forward to, particularly that sort of thing. But before all that, I would like to ask you 3 questions. What are your thoughts on the impact of lazy business models holding back the use of current gen tech? You touched on some really interesting points not long ago with your Forza Horizon. And before I say this, I just want to stress this channel isn't designed to be biased, like one platform is better than the other. That was kind of part of the vision going in. I have my own preferences. We all have preferences, but I kind of keep that not very strong with this podcast. I try to keep that separate from this podcast. So, but you did touch on the fact that, and I'm not by any means calling this game lazy, but that Forza Horizon 5 doesn't look any different to its previous gen counterpart than the current gen version, apart from frame rate and resolution. And I was curious, do you think business model is to blame for that? And I'm not just focusing just on Forza. We could apply it to a wealth of games. You could even apply it to, I don't know, Call of Duty. It doesn't change much over the years, or I don't know. I'm not the expert. Bad examples, but you get what I mean, right? Do you think lazy business models are kind of holding back the use of current gen tech? And where do you see current gen tech going this generation?
I think you're forgetting AI fish there on COD. What are you talking about?
Oh crap! AI fish. No, oh damn.
AI fish. Yeah.
Where was that? Which game was that?
That was the one that started this generation, wasn't it? Call of Duty.
Cold War. Black Ops. Cold War.
No, it wasn't Cold War. It was the start of last generation. It was the very first one. It was the cross-gen game between PS3, PS4, Xbox 360.
Oh
God, I can't remember. But they merged into one.
Advanced Warfare. Advanced Warfare, was it?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, lazy business models are a problem everywhere. The saying's probably not correct, and I'm not trying to correct anyone, but the problem is that there's business models that have different aims, and I think that people probably underestimate potentially how long projects take. Not just software, not just games, but any kind of project. So, I've worked on projects personally that have been quite large scale that have taken upwards of 6 years from beginning to end. So there's potential that companies, naming no names, but I've worked with Microsoft directly and other companies of similar ilk. They react to market influences, and when you overreact to market influences, when you listen to stock market shares, venture capitalists, and all that, you do just that. You react, and that can be very short. And trying to turn on a dime is something that Microsoft are well known for, and that means that companies put together a plan to say, I'm going to make a new Forza, I'm going to make a new Uncharted, I'm going to make a new Call of Duty. And that's a 3 to 4 year plan. And that goes along. They have a target that they're going to deliver. They have a game design that they're going to deliver on. They do design work and prep work and, all that kind of base build. And then they go into pre-production, then production, and then post, and then the game comes out. That might gestate for 4 years. At some point in that gestation, you have to have a conversation that says, hang on, we've just decided that we've got a new generation console coming out. It's going to come out this year, and we want to put this game on it. There's only so much you can do with that game before it becomes limiting to try and move it, or you limit the amount of things to update. And that's why you're seeing, high frame rates and high resolutions at the moment, because it's an easy dial turn. The thing about Forza is the fact that game was most likely nothing to do with Playground. It was to do with the fact that they were delivering a game, and probably 18 months before it came out, Microsoft said, look, we want this to run on the Series X and Series S. So far it out. Wow. Xbox's business platform, its plan is all geared around SaaS, so software as a service, which has been big in my industry for decades now. It's unfortunately taken over the entertainment industry. So that means that you don't benefit from making great games. You benefit from creating hype, which means people subscribe. And that's a different business.
Oh my, that is gold. Wow, that should be I don't know, if we can plaque that phrase in speech marks. I'll send it you in the post. It might weigh a ton, but sorry, carry on. That's amazing. That's
literally it. I'm just trying to answer the question as succinctly as possible. Probably a bit too long, but business practices are different. So. It's in the eye of the beholder whether you see something as success or failure. It might not, like lost leaders are a real thing everywhere, not just in consoles but in everything. So you get a lot of cars and stuff that come out and they sell them, or they give them away in deals, or that they put them on in the UK disability things and things like that, where they have options to get cars out the door. They're lost leading. There's no money in them, or at least they don't make much profit, but the publicity and the buzz and the hype that it creates is worth it. And then you get that long tail of other people picking up, and then you overcharge and you add extras and all that. And there's so many myriad of ways that companies sell and make money. It's confusing. And I think Sony's is quite simple in terms of gaming. It's make really good content that brings you into our walled garden that is the PlayStation Store, and keep you there, and you keep buying new games on our store, and it works well. Microsoft is completely different now. It's how long can I get you paying me a monthly sub, because it's guaranteed revenue.
Absolutely. By the way, panel, feel free. Don't be shy. If ever what NXG is saying prompts you to by all means jump in. But wow, 100%. Couldn't have said it better. I'm very impressed with the way you articulate yourself. My
I'm an old man, that's why.
You're an old man with a fast mind, and you sound young, but you certainly don't sound your age. Getting on for Ledbetter's age, aren't you? Flipping it.
For me personally, the reason I prefer PlayStation is because I really enjoy those narrative games. Even when those games don't have much dialogue in them, like Shadow of Colossus, where there's not much dialogue, you still feel so emotional. So for me, what I love about games is that emotional feeling you feel at the end. But just to be a devil's advocate on this, because I can see the pros and cons of Sony's approach and Microsoft's approach, I'm going to quote somebody who I'm not a fan of, but Destin was saying that Destin says many things I don't like, but he said something last year. He said that for someone who is poor, it would be really good to have Game Pass, because therefore your parents don't need to spend as much money for you to play games. And I think that business model that Microsoft is using, I can see that, even though for me as an adult, I don't like it, but I can see many young people who may find it amazing because now you can play older games at a much subsidized rate. So I guess it's right. You're right by saying they may overreact to the market, but I can also see why it could be a critically very good thing for the market at the same time.
Oh, it is. Do not. Yeah, absolutely, Otti. Totally agree. It's not. I'm not calling it a bad business model. In fact, I'm calling it the exact opposite. It's a great business model. It's one of those ones that's based on a perpetual growth. So the fundamental aim of that will be to increase the price at some point, or segment it off into tiers. One of those two things will happen. It's inevitable. And then that leaves little Timmy, who originally had Game Pass and all these games, having to pay up that little bit more next time. So that's not a bad thing. That's just the nature of the beast. I think the most important thing, and you've said this many times before, is it's all about choice. Buy a physical disc, subscribe to a service, download it, whatever. Just don't take all the options away. It's just if everybody follows the subscription model, then it becomes incredibly unproductive and it's financially unviable to start having these kind of long-term games. So
big facts. This is why I think Sony have struck the perfect balance, like you said, Michael. It's like they've got all their eggs in multiple baskets that seem to complement one another and not cannibalize one another. PC, they tend to release later, which incentivizes PC players that have enjoyed the games to pick up a PlayStation to play the sequel. PS Remote Play requires a PS5, and it's a seriously good version of, I guess you could call it, kind of like cloud gaming. And the PS Plus is very, very generous in its content that it gives, yet it doesn't sacrifice, first-party content from sales and stuff like that. So we could go on about subscription services all day, but I think we've covered all of that in this point, and I think what you said, Michael, before that quote, I'm trying to remember how you said it. I'm going to have to rewind after this podcast to hear you say it again, because it was masterful how you broke it down.
Can I throw something in?
Go for it, Wilhelm.
Yes, Wilhelm. By the way, Wilhelm, can I ask, is that named after the Scream, the famous Scream? Is that your name?
It's like more of a stage name,
Have you ever heard of the Wilhelm Scream?
Is it? No.
Is it that painting? That scary painting?
No, it's a famous sound effect. You would have heard it in films.
Oh shit! I know that one.
That one. No, it's just a stage name. I call myself. That's just like a nice fun fact. The reason why my stage name here is Wilhelmovsky is because my dad gave me so many nicknames based upon Wilhelm. Like it's Wilhelm. Like he once called me like Wilhelmovsky or Wilhelmo or Wilhelmus Maximus, which is why I'm Maximus Wilhelm on Twitter. So I kind of adapted that. And
sorry to distract you. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. What I want to ask is, you see the guy in the chat,
Salty's Gaming.
You see him?
I do. Saltiest Gaming, yes.
Yeah, he refuses to hire me.
Oh dear.
Guys?
Salty, you have no excuse now. Get Wilhelm on your podcast. Right.
I'm waiting ever since the beginning.
Okay, you've heard it.
You need to clip that.
Right.
You need to clip
I will.
what NXG said a while ago.
Yeah, I will. I'll definitely clip it. 100%. Masterfully put. Right, now on to the second question before we get to panel questions. The second question that we have for you, NXG, is how has the change in the interaction between Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, and general gaming media? We know Sony has kind of distanced itself from E3, and it brought a lot of outrage it caused a lot of outrage among journalism because, no longer did they have that as a primary dominant platform to create content, PlayStation content, and almost I think they've distanced themselves from kind of journalists being the first-hand people to get their hands on information. Sometimes I find on Twitter, everyday people seem to know things before it's posted on journalistic websites. So, I mean, how has the change in the interaction between Sony, Xbox, Nintendo, and gaming media impacted source content in your opinion?
I think, again, I'm trying not to be. I'm not the arbiter of truth. So these are my opinions.
Yeah, that's what you're here for, to share your opinions.
Absolutely. Anyone can, jump in and say what they think, feel, and disagree. That's all good. I love discussion. I'm all for discourse. But my view is, like most things, it's a duality of benefits and negatives. So there's definitely been a shift, and I think I said it before Sony announced they would leave, that we're going to leave E3, because there was just the buzz of E3, and if we're watching it back in the early 2000s, it was a very different aspect, because it was the only place you got to see these games for the very first time. So it had a completely different hype. The world's moved on now. It's not. I mean, I'm old, so I remember going into a game shop and picking up a game, and you had no idea what it was other than what was on the box, and there's no guarantee what was on the box was actually the game you're going to play at home as well. Whereas now you're at a point where you probably know everything about a game before it even gets near to release. So the industry's changed in terms of what it used to do. It used to give you a trailer and a tease, and that would be enough, and you'd buy it on the pretense that it would be a great game when you played it. Now it's all about, how long is the game, how much content is it, and how many X's can I put over what it was before. So that becomes harder to sell in a journalistic website article. It has to be a little bit more involved, more engaged, and it then becomes around personalities. And I'm not a fan of this phrase, but influencers are a thing, and I'm not a fan that they are a thing, but they are. So you end up with a different connection from Xbox. Xbox heavily use a lot of influence. They have a lot of big names, and they do a good job in terms of getting the right people saying the right things, and they've got like a hype train that runs consistently.
It's so true.
Around the Xbox brand. Yeah,
it's all Game Pass, isn't it? Everywhere.
Yeah, and it's their model. Yes, some marketing team has drawn that up, and they've done a good job. They know the industry, and a lot of marketing now, and I know this directly because I work for companies like this. A lot of marketing do a lot of research, a lot of effort into psychology, and that's a big part of how you sell. And some people just can't be sold to. It's just not. So it's just the way their brain is wired. Sony, they're kind of always been slightly left of field. They've always done things differently, but they haven't fundamentally changed their business model. They still embrace developers more than anyone else. They still try and give developers the right tools. I mean, their tools are the best in the industry. I know this talking to developers who work for them, and they're still up there. And that's one of the big benefits that people don't see. All about the tools, all about the models. I'm not saying Microsoft's are bad, and they're getting better, but they spend more time on that relationship than probably Microsoft do on the forward relationship, which is the customer engagement. Again, this is my view. It's not everything here is fact, but Sony have changed their policy probably for two reasons. One, it's far cheaper. E3 was bloody expensive, and Microsoft can cash those checks day in, day out. It doesn't make any difference to them. I'm not saying Sony are poor, but they can't keep writing off millions of pounds, and they are millions of pounds by using the industry and the people online playing games. It's free marketing. It's very easy to get people hyped for a game, and then you spend all that time on Twitter and YouTube and everywhere else telling people how great this game is.
Let the games do the talking, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that has been their motto for a long period of time. So I think fundamentally, there's not a lot's changed how they engage. They're just manipulating how the world has changed around how you engage with stuff. So it's a very different world, even to what it was in 2005, what it is now. You wouldn't. A website just doing reviews and previews would die. It can't exist in this world because that's just not how people engage anymore. They need to be buzzed. And they need to see things at a fast pace and really informed. So, fantastic. And the audience is very savvy. Don't get me wrong. And the gaming audience is probably one of the most savvy out there in many areas. But doesn't mean you can't be fooled.
Yeah, we all have noses, definitely, and we can smell when something's not quite right. But no, that's a fantastic point. I'm very pleased that DZ has managed to make it. I gave you an intro and gave people a rundown, DZ. But I'm glad you're here, bro. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Finally managed to get through Discord's.
I was sweating, bro. I was sweating. I'm not joking. Problem with Discord.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here. By the way, Michael, I just want to say it's been an honor to be on this podcast with you today. I know I just got in here, but I've been listening to you talk for like the last, 2 or so minutes. And like I said, it is never tiring to hear you speak. I do think as an independent, you're probably one of the more tech savvy persons here. And I'm really excited to just kind of pick your brain and kind of ask you some questions on, what it is that you do and what got you into this. So like whenever you're done with your thoughts,
Yeah, cool. No, good to be here, Dizzy. I'm glad you made it, mate. I know it was a bit of a pain. I always didn't make it in, so nice to be here. Thank you very much.
So, no, I don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that second question. Sorry if it seems like we're rushing through these questions, guys, but Michael is very limited on time, and we have a lot of questions. So
yeah, no, that's fine. Also, I do want to make sure that other people get a chance to talk.
Yeah,
I will try and cut my answers down. Apologies, guys. Please jump in and shut me up.
No, but
I missed most of what was going on for about, I don't know, maybe 20 or so minutes. So if you could just give me a rundown of what exactly was discussed so far, and then I could formulate all my questions. I don't want to retread the same thing that was asked already.
So we did just ask NXG about how the change in interaction between Sony, Xbox, and Nintendo, and general gaming media, mainstream journalistic websites, etc., has impacted source content, and it's very much a juggling game, isn't that right, NXG? That's what you're basically saying. It's a juggling game, basically.
Yeah, it's you've got to play the market. It's how people engage with you now. So they're just doing. Fundamentally, Microsoft and Xbox, everyone out, and Sony haven't really changed. They've had to change because the market has. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, market definitely dictates. Faulkner said something similar last night on the hangout that I did with him and Zubitech. Shout out to them too. And he literally said Sony don't need to change their business model until the market dictates it, because everybody's saying that buying games and owning games is, I'd say everybody, there's a trending narrative that even among journalistic websites, Sony PlayStation's going to be left in the dust because buying games is bygone now. And it's like, really? I thought owning your games is still the number one source of revenue for gaming companies, and that's why PlayStation is number one in revenue streaming. So the market definitely does dictate kind of the way that companies respond. Like you said, I couldn't agree more. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add to that, to my NXG's answer before we move on.
I guess I would say to that is, while the market is changing and there is more adoption going on to streaming services, but that's just the nature of technology moving forward. But I still think that in the here and now, right now anyway, ownership and physical media is still the de facto. And as long as there is a portion of the world that has that's cut off from or does not have access to stronger broadband or anything like that, it will always be a physical thing that will dictate the means. In more developed countries, though, you will see a more growth going into streaming and digital, the digital market space, and how each of these companies decide to capitalize on that will tell the tale. Right now, I think it's way too early to consider especially from a revenue standpoint. It's way too early to say that Sony is being left behind in the form of streaming, just because Microsoft is showing just because Microsoft is showing their growth in subscription, at the end of the day, it's still a business. They do need to turn over and make a profit on everything. But Microsoft has the luxury of having deep pockets, being a $2 trillion company. But
as we've seen recently.
yeah, as we've seen recently. But like physical media is still where it's at right now. And I think each of these companies have shown that they're stepping up and trying to flesh out each of their online platforms to better take advantage of and generate more revenue.
So we have.
I just wanna... Oh, sorry.
Go on, Akira. No, go for it.
No, I just want to say I actually agree with DZ. I think it's too early to completely push streaming services, because I talked to David about this, because he was telling me about, for example, Netflix, right? Mm-hmm. Netflix pays for infrastructure costs that are extremely expensive, because like I said, it's still too early. And that's why it's also more expensive to manage, right? Then the more subscriptions they have, the more their third-party content, let's say, charges for more money to get their content on their platform. Yeah. Which is why I told David on the DMs before. I think this could be one of the reasons why Microsoft kind of tries to buy everything, because they don't need to make these deals anymore for content, because they own the content. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Disney Plus, right? They own their content, so they only need to fund the content itself. They don't really need to pay to get the content, something like that, right? And but however, I really think it's still too early, because Netflix had this recent report, right? Since 2007 until today, 222 million subscribers and still no proper profit.
Yeah,
with
big
it.
Facts.
And physical media is also, physical media consumption is also rising. So thankfully, people are still smart enough to realize that you don't want to leave everything to streaming service, because corporations will have control to the content that you're going to consume. And, thankfully, people still realize that. I mean, right now, I don't know in the future. But I think it's still too early. Yeah.
So, moving on to the third question. NXG, what are your thoughts on the roles and you touched on influencers before, generating, it's kind of almost like relying on solely influencers and not just on people playing games. Playing games is like a free source of advertisement. You mentioned that, and I just want to touch on that. What are your thoughts on the roles and responsibilities of being an influencer? Do you think do you think responsibility comes with that, of being an influencer?
I do, and I think it should. I think I'm not saying it always does, but it should. The problem with being an influencer, and like I say, I'm not classing myself as one. I don't like that, but
I wouldn't class you as one at all.
Yeah,
your technical analysis, but you don't try to, I don't know, influence people one way or another towards a specific bias.
Yeah, exactly, and that's exactly why I don't like the word, because influencer means I'm trying to sell you something or to get you to go one way or t'other. But it's all around the fact that I think the responsibility of influencers is the impression or the view that they give on a subject that might not be entirely accurate. I'm not calling anyone into question, but there are certainly benefits that companies can offer you to say certain things and do certain things, and this happens a lot. With younger people in positions they get put in, they feel like they almost have to say nice things or find nice things to say. It's a very delicate balance. What I used to call, my old boss used to call it the shit sandwich, and pardon the French, is the fact that you kind of have to deliver that in a constructive fashion. So nothing's perfect. I don't believe in experts. That's one of my personal things. I believe in professionals. I don't believe in experts, because expert belies the fact that there's nothing better you can do. You can't learn any more. You can't get any better, and I don't believe that. You're not perfect. There's no such thing as being perfect. But when you've got a game or something like hardware, you've got to look at the pros and cons, and you've got to be empathetic with the audience you're talking about. So it's very easy when you get free games all day, every day, to talk about games and go, I think it's great, it's amazing, it's brilliant, I didn't pay for it. So, you've got to look at it in not just hours, but the enjoyment the game offers. And I think the responsibility for influencers is to look at things beyond their own personal perspective. So be clear, be concise, and be factual. Back up everything you say with evidence where possible. And that's one of my big caveats that I always do. And then let the audience decide. You know, you can add your opinion. I think this is really bad, but you might love it. It's like, you know, I prefer 60 FPS over 30 FPS if it's a choice, but I wouldn't prefer to sacrifice all the other visual features and physics and elements that can be added to a game just to have 60 FPS. Some people might disagree with me. That's absolutely fine. 4K is everything. It's not everything to me. So you can put your opinion forward, but also let the audience decide what's best. And I think that's a very important part of an influencer's responsibility, along with the fact to just be generally honest. And that means that you, even if somebody says, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, you know, be honest and say the right things. Don't just try and find all the positives and ignore the negatives when they exist. Because, like I say, the audience is savvy. You tell somebody a game's great and it's really enjoyable and it's got no bugs and it's got no issues, and then, you know, it comes out and it's full of bugs and issues and it's not that enjoyable. Everyone's going to pick up on it, and you just devalue yourself.
So that Cyberpunk 2077 chestnut. We all thought it at NXG. Yeah. You're absolutely spot on, bro. I could not agree more with you. I also think there's another dynamic, and that's if you're sponsoring something, there's a risk that I'm sure a lot of influencers don't make that clear that they are, or that they feel pressured to almost sponsor something. And when it comes to the competition of that sponsor or something that they feel, biased towards, there's always seems to be a caveat with the positives. There always seems to be the extra critical against the competition, but not so much the other side. So it creates this almost insult of intelligence towards the audience. I personally feel that the audience feels an insult to their intelligence, and that's the one thing that you definitely do not do, Michael. You do not insult our intelligence. If anything, you educate us. So thank you for that.
But what if they gave you a chair?
Oh, maybe. Okay, yeah, I'd accept that, and I'd just speak bullshit. 100%. No, I'm joking.
That's great. Yeah, just quickly on that subject, it's very true. I'm not a big fan of sponsorship deals on subject matter. So the way I look at this, and I said this to a friend quite a few years ago and talk about it, I'm a big motorcycle fan. A lot of the people in the chat I'm seeing are motorcycle fans. Nice one, guys. Good to see more two wheels. If I ever bought a magazine like Performance Bike or Ride or whatever, and in that magazine was this issue is sponsored by Ducati, and then in the middle it had a review of a Ducati 1098, I'll be like, well, am I going to believe that review? Is it going to be accurate? And I think, as you quite rightly said, Wooly, it's about differentiating between what's sponsored content and what's not. And I said this before ages ago. Not all marketing people wear badges. Just everyone needs to remember that.
There's been some blurry lines, hasn't there, recently? I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It brings it back to the influencer thing. There's a lot of money. Like I say, if you're not spending money on advertising with websites, then you got to spend it somewhere. So, again, it's not. I'm not saying everything's shady. It's not. It's just as a person who represents technology, I just try to keep it factual, like you said, and not underestimate people's intelligence or assume anything. It's just education. So, but please, other people answer, because I feel like I'm talking way too much.
That's the point. It's the NXG show. I'm joking. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I'd love to hear the panel's thoughts.
You know, one of the things I think he said that's very important is, when you buy your game, everybody's had that experience of when you buy a game, you have high expectations. Let's say you paid $60, $70 and you play it and you get disappointed. I have hated reviewers for that, because I hate that feeling of I've spent money and this game is nothing like what I would have wanted. And you're right. I think right now too many reviewers have become influencers more than reviewers, and it's just causing this disappointment. So nowadays I really pay attention to like guys like Wooly. You get to know somebody and then realize they have similar tastes, and I find that's the best way to deal with this issue of, instead of going straight to IGN, you just go to people who have similar tastes and see what they think. And that for me has led to a lack of disappointment.
Very good point, Otti. Agree with that. You absolutely do. It's always good find people similar taste, because then you can trust them. Very good. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, to definitely piggyback off of what Oti said, it does. Reviewers these days do seem to, I don't know, push some sort of agenda. Maybe because they have their certain bias, or I won't go as far as to say that bias in the industry is a bad thing, because everybody does have a taste. But for me, to kind of highlight what Oti was saying, there was a lot of hype going into Deathloop. And for a while, I was very, very much interested in Deathloop. And the more I saw it, the more it looked like the kind of game that I had. And when the reviews came in and they were glowing, I was like, okay, this seems like it's right up my alley. I'm a big fan of Arcane and whatnot. But then once I got into the game, I realized that there were glaring issues that the media or journalists would overlook just to say certain things, and that was with the AI. And then it also seemed like there was just a whole bunch of people who were on the bandwagon that were saying, well, the gunplay is good, this is good, but everything just seems way too easy, and the AI is fine. And me playing through the whole experience and everything, I just kind of found that I needed more challenge, and the AI was practically dumb. Broken in a sense. At least that's what I would consider broken, considering I've played other first-person shooters with story, with compelling enough or similar-ish gameplay mechanics, like BioShock or Prey that came from that team, or even Dishonored, which I loved. So like, it just, there is this, especially when games are sponsored so much and pushed that heavily, I think there is some sort of overlooking of faults that would make, that if reviewers and journalists really just stepped outside stepped outside the marketing machine and critiqued things more fairly, then people would have, far more interest in taking them more seriously and be able to enjoy a game with better expectations set, because, video media is reviewed and critiqued, and somebody's review of it might definitely does influence an end user's ability to purchase things. And when they purchase something and their experience comes up disparate to what the media has been going on, then you get this whole thing. And then when you go against the grain and say something, then suddenly it's like, well, no, you just have bad taste or anything like this. The game is fine. The game empowers you to do this or that. And I'm just like, no. The AI is bad. This shit's terrible. Like, come on, you know. So like,
facts.
Yeah.
Sorry. Does anybody?
I was going to just touch on a couple of things, if that's all
Yeah,
right.
go for it. HD.
I sort of agree with what everyone said, and I think the way that the platform holders are choosing to engage their audience now is having an effect on influencers. Maybe not all, but there's definitely sort of that extra influence they have there. You've got the sponsorships, and then the influencers, especially influencers who do the reviews as well, and reviewers in general. I do think there's an influence there from sort of the marketing or the platform holders and how they sort of communicate with these people. But I also think there's the outside factors of just there's so much content coming out, and reviewers are on these deadlines to get these reviews out the door. I think there's that sort of issue of the reviewers not always finishing their games, and I don't like. I'm not. I prefer they do, but I think it's about if they can be transparent and say, where are they at with the game? Have they completed it? And also maybe transparent with the marketing deals that are in place or what their sort of affiliations are. I think that will kind of combat that. I'm not sure what everyone else's thoughts are.
So, let's because
I could speak on that one. I could say very much.
If you could keep it quite brief, DZ, that would be really appreciated, my bro. It's just because we're running out of time with NXG because he has to go soon.
Yeah, totally fine. I'll keep this real brief. Everyone knows I love to be long-witted, but to piggyback off of what HD Gamer said, there is definitely a trend where I think journalists, due to time constraints and everything, aren't very forthcoming. But I'd say the larger ones are the larger ones who can control and sway the opinions and have more pull because they're better established and don't necessarily have certain fundings and whatnot, tend to be of that type. But like I'd say there are smaller new journalistic bodies that are up and coming that definitely do disclose how far they're in a game, if they've completed it, or they'll have one main reviewer and a couple other people who've played the game but have not finished it chime in and kind of evaluate things based on that, and they disclose who their sponsors are or who provided the game and whatnot. And like I could say off the top of my head, Kind of Funny is one of those journalistic bodies that does those kind of things. So like if you're looking for this isn't just to plug them, but like if you're looking for a more balanced approach to certain things, because they do have a wide cast of people that review and play games and chime in, they also do discuss those kind of things, and they're pretty transparent. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. And finally, guys, we've answered those three main questions, and obviously I thought it was fitting to play some Horizon Forbidden West gameplay as we come to this final point. If anybody has any burning questions to ask NXG, I know I have. What's his most anticipated game? And that's the main question I have for you, NXG. And what's your most impressive game of the last 4 years in terms of technical aspects?
Okay. Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to God of War Ragnarok just because I want to finish the story. I think it was a really good kind of emotional highs and lows, and really kind of realistic in terms of its interaction between characters in the game. And obviously, I think Kratos was a great character anyway, but I think he really refined him in that one. So I'm looking forward to finishing that one off. Outside of that, there's a lot of stuff that hasn't been announced yet.
I love that you said that. I love that you said that. Sorry. There is so much unannounced stuff that we haven't even heard of yet. I mean, Sony have only announced 3 games, right, for post 2022. Only 3.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of stuff in the works that's coming, and it might not land this year, but it certainly, some things will be announced this year. So there's definitely good stuff to come. And we haven't seen the generation leap yet. That's the thing. We haven't really seen it. There's tastes, and I think Insomniac have been stand out for me. So from a technical perspective, I think they did a superb job in delivering, not only in a new generation, which is always hard. Guerrilla did a superb job last generation, but I think they've also delivered in quality that's exceptionally high and over and above. The amount of options that were in Rift Apart were incredible, and that team has passion. It has absolute passion, and I think passion is what I've seen Otti say this before on Twitter, and I agree with him massively. Passion is what makes anything good. Anyone can make stuff, but passion makes it great, and I think that's what a lot of these studios have. And I think Insomniac. Sorry, Otti, go ahead. Sorry, mate.
Oh no! I was saying that it's. I agree with you. The passion is. You can feel the passion when you play Last of Us. You can tell the blood, sweat, and tears. So I agree. Passion is essential.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that Insomniac nailed that with what they delivered on that game. They were working right up and past the review period, and we were getting updates from them, and they were trying to cram even more things in before launch and just after launch. And I think that you've got to commend teams that do that. Their passion's there. Even if you don't like the content, you've got to understand the passion, because without passion, we're all dead. I have a saying about contrast. Everyone needs that contrast and one thing. If you've never been sad, how could you ever be happy? So you have to have that element of passion so that you understand when something is passionate and great, when something is just made and good. So for technical, I think Insomniac did a great job. I think the most impressive game, I still, I'm going to call out a team that I spoke with a lot and I absolutely have a lot of love and respect for, which is Ready at Dawn. The old rating 86 is a big game for
Yes! Oh my god, I love you!
Yeah, and it was a huge game, and the thing about games like that is some games set the benchmark for the generation. That did it. That was the game that set the benchmark, because you could play the old rating 86 now, and it still looks absolutely amazing. And that's what great games are. No, I'm not talking about everything else. If we talk about technology, they nailed it. They were so ahead of the game, and a big part of that was they nailed PBR materials and spent all that time and effort creating so many composite and material layers and understanding light interaction and the micro facets of surfaces and everything that goes into what makes things look real. Even if you don't know it, you know it because you're.
And that shotgun, bro. That shotgun. Oh my days.
Awesome. Yeah. Just. Again, they're a team. I've seen a lot of their internal demo stuff that never came out, which was really, one was
so sad.
Really refreshing. Yeah, well, yeah, and it was really, kind of humbling to see them show it to me, and also the fact that they've got so much intelligence and technology. I mean, they're a technology-driven company. So Andrea Pacino, who part owns it, he's an absolute maths genius. He's a weightlifter. He's in great shape, and he's a really great guy. But he's passionate from the days when he started to now in making great content. And even though currently he's making VR games with Facebook, and no one's a fan of Facebook, let's be honest, he's still a great company. So I think for me that was the most impressive game for the generation because it was the first one to come out and show what the generation looked like. It's absolutely incredible. So but I think The Last of Us Part 2, it doesn't get the credit it deserves because of all the controversy that wrapped around it.
But days, bro.
But technically. Unbelievable. The animation, the AI, the way the blend animation works with the physics, how much they've got going on, and all of that on, a console that I hate the saying, but the whole it's mobile and all that kind of stuff. It's just very, very silly when you don't understand technology, and that sounds not trying to be arrogant to people, but that was an impressive piece of gaming from a technology perspective.
And the eye rendering in that game is just still, I can't believe it. It's just rendered in real time.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And there's passion and art there. You've got there's a hard balance when you come to what that looks amazing. We're looking at Horizon now, Forbidden West on the screen, and it looks amazing. But you can't underestimate the art. Art is a huge part of what makes a game look good, and I think Naughty Dog have always been exceptional from a studio perspective. Way back when, even when they started out, to be able to hide things and divert your eye to use as much power as they can to impress you, and I think that's a skill and a technique that still isn't abundant across the industry. It's still there's teams that do it, but Playground Games is another one. I think they're great at doing it as well, to be fair. But there are teams that can do that well, and some teams that can blow their wad and all their budget on certain aspects, and that shows. A good example would be Halo Infinite, which is they spent too much time doing cutscenes, and even though they're not the best looking cutscenes, they're much better looking than the game generally tended to be, and that's that balance you need to get right when you mix the two up. So, long-winded answer. I'm looking forward to something that you probably haven't heard of yet. There you go.
Oh my god! Is that what DZ's also looking forward to? I don't know.
Probably not, but he's probably seen something else.
Let me tell you, the fact. Sorry.
Sorry,
I'm still gonna stand by what I saw over at Fire Sprite, and that's all I'm gonna say. And
it was crazy, right? NXG DZ 4 months before they were announced as acquired. DZ spoke about something that he hasn't told us, but something that we're not ready for from Fire Sprite. 4 months later, they were acquired by Sony, and it was like, what? Go on, Aquira. Sorry, bro.
No, I just want to ask NX, do they plan to show that game that you're talking about anytime soon?
I don't know. I don't know when their release schedules are. I know things have been delayed, so there's definitely one that I'm looking forward to that I know of. There's probably stuff that there is stuff that I haven't seen and don't know of, but the one that I'm thinking of and I'm referencing at the moment, it's got to be shown soon. It's got to be next 12 months, maybe less. So yeah, I'll be surprised if it wasn't shown this year.
Can I ask, is this a
I
Sony
mean, wait
game?
one sec. When I,
No.
Without-
Don't ask that question.
Yeah, you're right, Easy. I'll shut up. I'm sorry.
without
We don't
Is it
want to
spoiling
repeat the
or is
past.
it not?
without
No.
spoiling anything, what exactly? Let's just say technology-wise caught your eye with this. Like, is it something you've never seen before? Or...
It's a game that looks next generation, as in it looks like it wouldn't be possible in the fidelity and the detail that's in it. And
PlayStation confirmed.
physics. Huh?
It
Yeah.
must be a PlayStation game. You just confirmed it.
It's
I'll ask this question because people already know that I've seen something that
Let
People already
NXG.
know
Sorry,
that
sorry. Can NXG finish answering Akira's question and then you go, DZ? You go for
I'm
it.
about to ask him. I'm about to basically ask him the same thing.
All right.
Is this a first-party title, or is this a very, very, very top-tier third-party multiplayer? Third-party multi-platform title.
I'm not going to say because
Good lad. Good lad. Good lad.
Be naughty. So yeah.
Yeah, it'd be very naughty. Don't be
basically-
naughty.
So
I also
basically,
have a
the
question.
answer is So it's next gen, like we'd never seen before. Basically, because she said
'Cause
it's
of the
not
visuals.
possible. Yeah, not possible. Not only visuals, you also said physics, and physics and animations are kind
That's
of
awesome.
overlooked a lot because of, let's just say,
Really?
animations sometimes, because I love watching animation in slow motion because that's where you see details in animation, right? And a lot of people overlook that how much animation improved because it's almost always too fast
Yeah.
for the eye, something like that, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if NXG, if NXG said physics and animation looks something we've never seen before, then fuck yeah, then I'm also
Yeah,
looking
that
forward
sounds
to it.
right up our street. Go on, Wilhelm. What was
No,
your
I'm
question,
looking
bro?
forward to it.
Well, a couple of episodes ago, I was touching upon Crytek, the Crysis developers, when the Crysis remastered trilogy was announced, and there I expressed my feelings that, like, for one, Crytek are of course technical geniuses, like absolute mad lads. That has been true ever since the beginning, ever since the first Far Cry. Like, that game's engine was insane, and the kind of technical marvel Crysis is, we already know. It makes modern graphics cards sweat, and I always felt like after Crysis that the team always stood behind their actual capabilities, with Crysis 2 being linear, and Crysis 3 was, even though it was a bigger game and also visually and technically very impressive, I still felt like that Crytek wasn't as mad as they used to be. And with Crysis 4 being announced, I just want to hear your thoughts. Like, what is your take on that? Like, are you seeing like I do, or like you're the expert on that, so.
Yeah, like I say, no, I don't believe an expert. I'm just, you get specialists, but I don't know what they're going to do. I agree with your statement, though, that they're not as pioneering as they used to be. But that's also just kind of, the nature of the beast in terms of you can't spend all your time obsessing about technology and not deliver a game. Because as much as we all love technology, and everyone probably here and talking about it is all into that technology element, and it's kind of that whole thing, what's more important, hardware or software? It's somewhere in the middle, and that's the point, because you have to make a game that people play, and I'm a big advocate for that. I play games, as Otti said and Wooly said, about why you play games, what makes you enjoy games, why you do it. Everyone has their different reasons, and that's great. That's exactly why you need varied content and things that I would hate but you would love and everything else. And I think for Crytek, they've got a name for themselves to be technologically pioneering, but their remasters were anything but. And I think that's a classic example of getting your tools ready for a new platform. That's what everyone does. It's very common. You get a bit of revenue, it helps the ROI, and everyone goes forward. So this has been built on the stuff that they've been doing, and they did some impressive stuff, albeit not that successful in terms of ray tracing on non-ray traced hardware. But ray tracing, again, is nothing new. It was around in the Amiga days, a bit not very great. But the point is that Crytek will make a game that sells, and they'll probably make a game that builds on the love of Crysis 1 and the impact that game made. It won't be as, it might, I don't know, but it probably won't be as pioneering as that game was, but that doesn't mean it can't be a great game. I think the problem with Crysis games was never the technology. It was beyond the first one. They weren't that exciting to play. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is games should always be fun, enjoyable, or entertaining first and foremost, even if technology is a big part of it. I mean, if anyone remembers games like Shadow of the Beast, that whole game was just a tech demo. It was made around a tech demo. It didn't play very well, but fucking hell, it looked great. But those days are kind of gone now. You've got to do a lot more.
There's more to get. There's visuals have reached almost like a plateau now, haven't they? Where more needs to be done to, I guess, wow us as we've become desensitized. I think there's only so good a game can look, but then again, you've just said you're looking forward to a game that looks a whole leap beyond what we've seen so far. So maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, and interaction in the world is a big reason why that's impressive as well.
That's
going back
the
to
one,
that game.
interaction.
And I think
I wanna. Oh wait, from that game you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Interaction within the world.
Yeah, one of the things in modern games is if you play something like, I mean, I've just literally done the review of Uncharted 4 over the last few weeks and stuff.
Loved it.
The interaction of that game is still ahead of a lot of games you play now. Look at how things move around you. You touch the floor, things get shot and they blow up, things break down. There is definitely set areas, and they create these zones in the game that are more interactive than others. It's taking that and building that to a bigger level. That's for me what's the most important. As Wally quite rightly said, visuals have reached a plateau. Even a bad-looking game looks bloody good, and
it's true.
And it now needs to go beyond that and do more with games. And I think that's somewhere where PSVR 2 will come into it.
I wanna. So my questions are. So I got two. By the way, NXG, if this is all right for a request, when this game gets revealed, would it be all right if you can, like maybe mention the main account of the Company Gamers Podcast, just so we can have an idea
It's
which
all
game
good.
you're talking about.
I'll advertise it. I'll put a banner up.
Before you go, Akira, I want to get a HD Gamer's one question in. He's got a question and he's been quiet for quite some time, and then get your question if that's okay. I'm just kind of conscious of the whole panel. It's all good.
It's okay, bro.
HD, you had a question.
Oh, I've had so many. I'm trying to pick the most relevant, but in that, I'd like to, with what we're sort of seeing, what excites us and stuff. I mean, both these hardware, the console manufacturers have done. There's been sort of massive improvements in what we've seen over previous gens. I think NXG, you've said one of the largest improvements has been in the I/O of each of those systems, the I/O throughput. I was just, what are you most excited to sort of see that utilized for, and what can we kind of expect? Like, can we see a greater sort of a immersion in games, a greater interactivity, etc.?
Great question, HD. I don't know. Is the genuine answer? My hope is that things move towards using the hardware to remove some of the obvious issues that games have. So, moving in and out of sectors, blocking off areas, closing off the wall behind you, moving into the next one, all memory-related issue. Memory is a big issue. I've said this before in many of my videos. You ask a developer what they want more, they'll probably say memory first thing, because memory helps. You can cheat and do things easier when you have more memory. You can create buffers, you can create lookup tables, you can do all this kind of good stuff that stops you doing things in real time. Real-time calculations are both expensive and dangerous because you run the risk of getting things wrong and errors. So that's a big area where I think the SSD, and specifically, and this is where I did a whole video on it, and the PlayStation 5, it's not the SSD. I've said this over and over again. The SSD is very important, and PC will blow it away very soon in terms of speed. It's not about that. When it comes to data management, and certainly in computers, anything to do with instantiation, anything to do with memory allocation and utilization and data, that's expensive. It costs a bloody fortune. So the biggest benefit that the PS5 offers, and the Series X does with its compression technology built into the SoC, it takes away the strain so that you're not getting these hangs and stalls and context switches when things happen in the CPU caches, the GPU caches, and having to use those extra elements. PC has that expensive dual pools with PCI Express, and people ignore that a lot. It's a huge difference for development. Having a centralized pool, having unified memory that allows you to access them both, and then having those two dual panels where you can access data from the CPU and GPU, but more importantly, you can work in a virtual space. Not that you have to have it on screen, it doesn't improve the GPU rendering, but what it does is it allows you to play tricks and have things that are hidden. So you could have a huge monster walking in front of you, and all that time you can occlude the background and load something different in. You can have environments where you can walk between different areas. You can have NPCs that no longer look identical, because you can stream thousands of NPCs off your drive as you walk around a city, and all of a sudden it feels different because you're not seeing the same face with a different haircut. Those kind of areas is where I think technology will go. How much and how impressive they are, and there's a lot more things I could waffle on about. It all comes down to time and effort. People underestimate how expensive it takes to make a game like Horizon Forbidden West. That game is, the production values there are huge, and it's not all internal. It's not all guerrilla. There'll be a lot of third-party companies and contractors. That's just the nature of the beast. Not just this. My workspace is the same. People come in, they sign up for contract for 2 or 3 years, they do a great job, and they leave and move on. A lot of the content you see in games is made by multiple companies over periods of time. You'd never get this kind of quality, and it isn't cheap. So I think utilising all of that space and technology in the PS5 and the Series X as well is going to be an expensive investment, and it'll be very interesting to see which teams come out on top. Microsoft have a few teams that can do it, and they certainly have the budget to do it. And I hope they do. I've said that before in my review. I really hope they do, because they need to step up their game. Because right now, a cross-generation title such as Forbidden West is a good example of the investment Sony put into games that are still running on a PS4. And that's what I think we need to move away from, and get that technology working at a level that isn't bottlenecked by budgets to that extent, and also running on hardware that just you can't do it. It's impossible. So you have to just drop it.
I think people underappreciate that we're still barely past the first year of this console generation, and already we're seeing such incredible, impressive development in terms of how even cross-gen titles are polished to a point where how is this capable of running on a PS4? It baffles my head, but it is doing. But we've still got 7-8 years left to see where this generation takes us. I'd love to go on, Akira, your question. Sorry.
No. So yeah. I want to ask. Did you play Final Fantasy VII Remake, right?
Yeah.
Technical wise, what did you think about that game? From a technical perspective.
I think artistically it's really good. It's incredible. Technically it's competent. It's not amazing.
I agree. Yeah. It's them narrow corridors, bro. They just.
And also since
Sorry, their art is incredible. But that's always been a Japanese trait. I think they've got such great influence in their art design and character, and they're very, us Western audiences are very intrigued by all that, and that definitely works in their favor. But they don't follow or conform to standards. They make something that they're passionate about, that's exaggerated and flamboyant and caricature, and I love that.
No,
Awesome.
thanks. And I kept on telling, in the podcast that there's a content war going on, right? Companies trying to secure content for themselves. Did you give your thoughts on, about the content war that's happening?
Like the acquisition.
Yeah, content war. Yeah, companies just trying to acquire studios, acquire talent. NetEase acquiring their own Japanese talent, Tencent, producing their own third-party publisher for PCs and consoles, and of course Microsoft with the acquisitions, and Sony with the Sony acquisitions, studio acquisitions. So yeah, there's a content war, obviously. Do you have any stance on the content war? Is it good? Is it bad? What's your thoughts on it?
I think the answer to that question is, it depends who you're asking. I'm not a fan of. Well, there's nothing good from a monopoly. Never. So I say this all the time. Competition is where everything is. You need to have an open free market for competition. If you have a monopoly, then what you have is just the consumer getting screwed and the business getting richer. That's never going to work. And what happens is everybody tries to wring more out of you. I mean, I'm old, so as an example, I know, just because of growing up, that Mars bars and marathons are smaller for the same price or more. That's just natural. That's what happens. So what happens is they try to give you less and charge you the same. So if you end up owning all the studios and all the content and all the multi-platforms, then there's no competition anymore, and it's the easiest, business platform war in the book, which is why fight your competition when you can just buy them. So I'm not a fan of it. Absolutely not a fan of it.
Okay, not a fan. So, yeah, and my last question would be because you got me intrigued, right? When you said you saw a game we've never seen before.
Akira, we're dropping that game.
No, I'm not asking about the game. I'm asking about, is this the only one you saw, or are there more you saw?
It's the only one I saw.
No, okay.
The only one I saw.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, that's it for me.
I love this guy.
I didn't want to pry. I didn't want to pry anymore on the game because I think I got enough information about it. I mean, animations.
Okay.
NXG animations always excites me, interests me. From CGI to CGI movies to games to everything. It's like I said, I watch a lot of them in slow motion because I love seeing them. And Naughty Dog and Insomniac are so amazing at it. From what I've seen. And again, when you say animations can still improve, for next gen, yeah, I'm excited about that. Yeah, I can't wait to see that game that you mentioned.
My boy NXG, I don't know if he's reached his limit now or whether he's got time for one last question. NXG, I really respect your time, brother. And if you've got to go now, I fully understand. You've actually gone over the time allotted, so.
I have. No, I've got work in the morning. So if there's another question, then yeah, that's great. Otherwise, I'll leave you guys to it. And,
we'll have one last question, and it's and I guess who I'm struggling with panel members here. OT, DZ, Wilhelm.
Yeah, you guys. One more question.
I wanted to ask. Okay. You if in case he can't answer, I understand. But I'm an emotional guy. I mean, I have cried to many games. I was just wondering, you've played games from the 80s. Is there any game that has made you cry?
Any game that's made me cry? Probably with frustration. Zaxxon.
I love it.
Sorry?
That did my nutting.
A hard game, yeah.
Do you know what? I think a game that at the time when it came out, so I had kids and stuff. So Shenmue. I think Shenmue was a game that.
Oh, Shenmue, yeah.
Beautiful game.
Yeah, that hit a lot of beats. I think that was one of the games that really did atmosphere.
This guy is such a man of culture. It's ridiculous.
that was Red Dead Redemption before Red Dead Redemption existed. Shenmue.
Yeah. Great.
So
game.
underrated.
If we could squeeze 3 more minutes, and I mean just keep it to 3 minutes max.
Yeah, go.
If that's okay, NXG, is that okay? Just from.
Look, I'm not. Yeah, it's all good.
Thank you so much. A quick question from DZ and a quick question from Wilhelm, and then we'll call it. DZ?
Honestly, he's answered all the questions that I've wanted to answer.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, he has. I was going to ask, I mean, clearly he got into this industry to, for his love of technology, so there's no sense in asking that or anything. So, I'm good. Like me, he's seen things that tantalize and impress them. So, I can't wait to see whatever is announced that he's seen and yeah.
Honestly,
same for you, Dizzy. Same for you.
I won't be able to sleep, man.
Yeah, you and DZ and NXG have both seen things that no one else of us have, and it's like I need to know, but it's all good. I'm a patient man.
It's that classic Rutger Hauer line.
Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Absolutely, Wilhelm, also a man of culture. Any last question for NXG?
Unfortunately not, no.
Wow. Well, there you go. NXG, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so very, very much for being part of this show tonight. I can't tell you how much we've appreciated it, how much we appreciate you and all that you do. Definitely subscribe to NX Gamer on YouTube if you haven't already. I mean, who of you in the chat are not subscribed to NXG? Come on, I'm guarantee all of you are. Nevertheless, this expert of tech analysis on all things gaming is a reason why I look forward to going on YouTube when a game is either close to launching or has launched, because you can guarantee he delivers the goods. And what an absolute honour for us as a panel and a podcast to have had you on. So thank you very much, Michael, mate. It's deeply, deeply appreciated. And would you like to give an outro? Where can we find you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, NX Gamer. So it's literally NX Gamer YouTube. You can get me on Twitter, which is horrible, but it's at N_X_G. And obviously, I do content on IGN as well. So just to stress, guys, I really appreciate you guys having me on it. It's always good to get a podcast. Always good to speak and listen to other people. Sorry, HD Gamer, that you didn't get more of a chance to speak. Hopefully, you will once I'm gone. I apologise. And next time I come on, maybe I'll ask you guys some questions and I'll talk less. I do appreciate the time. Thank you very much. It's been great. And thanks for the chat as well. The chat's been great, guys. So I really appreciate it. I've been reading as much as I can as we've been going along. So always good to be here. Happy to return at another time.
Would love to have you on again.
Yeah, I've got to leave before it finishes, but but I do have work in the morning.
So yeah, you get your beauty sleep, and thank you,
NXG,
thank you so much.
Pleasure,
it's been awesome. I hope you feel your time's been respected as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, you've
been amazing. Thank you.
And please, please, if it gets revealed, please let us know. Please, I really want to know.
He's shameless, this guy. I love him to bits.
I like it. You are your namesake. The 80s movie.
Yeah, just give him a follow, NXG. Go on, just do it. Just follow him on Twitter and just DM him.
Yeah, you found me. I'm gonna write in profile picture.
I love this. Honestly, Akira's like a puppy. He just like, please. I just love him. I love him to bits. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to the chat and to any of the panel who we couldn't ask more, but time is precious and we've fitted in as much as we possibly could. Thank you so much, NXG. Hope you feel your time's been respected, brother. We certainly do respect you, and thank you and take care.
Oh, thank you, Ollie.
Take care, man.
Yeah, take care. Cheers. Thanks, Ossie.
Here, man.
Thanks, DZ.
Take care.
Thanks, Willem. Take care, guys. Cheers. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
And NXG has left the building. Wow.
Bro, like, what is that game, bro?
You're not gonna let that drop, Akira.
Like a dog on the
Like
scent.
that game's in my head, man. Like, what is it? I don't even know what it is. It's already in my head. What the hell? Like, no, I mean, you gotta understand, NXG is like a tech guy, right? So if a game can impress him by that much, it has to be the real deal, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of like how I see it.
Yeah.
So OT, the PlayStation exclusive.
Guys, I want to apologize.
Like this is a PlayStation game, and I'm just like,
HD, you did get a question, didn't you? You did ask him that question, right? I did get you in.
No,
thank fuck for
did.
that. Oh, right.
Mate,
I'm
all good, mate.
I'm not with it. I'm not with it.
Ollie,
I'm sweating. I'm warm. I'm just like, oh man. I'm like.
Hey, did you see that, Wooly? That what do you call this? That Game Pass news. Did you see it?
Oh shit!
What
Yes,
happened?
guys, breaking news. You need to listen to this. Everyone in the chat. Microsoft. I'm blocked by this guy, but thankfully I have a Thought account. I'm joking. I have another account. Microsoft will reach out to inactive Game Pass users due to UK government investigation. Naughty. First in the gaming industry to bring in the consumer-friendly changes, which includes automatically cancelling subscriptions if the player isn't using them.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a wild one.
That is a
But
wild
you know
one.
what? I mean, they're gonna. Although they're out. Let's just say it looks good for them. Although I completely believe they're forced to do it. I honestly believe they're forced to do it, even though for the public, there's like, oh look, good guy Microsoft, right? It's kind of like how they're gonna see it. You know, because people think corporations are their friends and they're gullible. You know, I'm not even gonna pull back punches for that. I'm not. But yeah, no. Yeah, that's interesting. It's from Europe, right? The Europe check, I believe, because of the acquisition.
Yeah.
Anybody have any thoughts on this? I've not read the article because I was kind of busy dealing with.
David called them zombie accounts, is what he said. They're zombie accounts. Apparently, yeah, they're you know, they earn subscription money from them despite of not using the service at all. That's why they're called zombie accounts.
Expect to drop
And apparently,
in subscriptions.
yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What was it that NXG said in that about when he said the thing with subscriptions is they're not targeting
I think he said that
game quality, they're
subscriptions
targeting
aim
hype.
for hype.
Yeah.
We need to clip that shit. That shit needs to get clipped, bro.
I'm gonna
good thing we've recorded this.
Yeah, I'm gonna find that and clip it.
I didn't know he's I understood correctly, right? He's 50, like 50. 50, right?
50.
I mean he didn't say so. Anyway, but he's been playing for a while. But this guy is just amazing.
He did say he played Shenmue back then.
He's definitely a man of
pretty
culture,
old
man.
game.
He plays everything, and he has a love and passion for everything. Guys in the chat, how did you feel that went? Let us know. Would love your feedback. I thought that went freaking phenomenal. And
amazing.
It was hard. It was hard. It was hard interrupting you guys. I do apologize. Sometimes I just had to go, guys. We need to rein it in.
No, you did right, man.
Listen,
You
Jason, I gotta tell you, man. I loved the pacing of this. So, like, honestly, I think, like I said, I totally admit that I could be quite long-winded with all my stuff. So, like, I think more governance, because people have complained about the lengths of our podcast, which I do say so ourselves, like we do go on and on. So like trying to condense and get everything down has to be something that we've done. So like, I'm totally on board.
Thank you so much, DZ. I so appreciate that.
I just want to say, right, like,
about this game.
Fair, right? Yeah, exactly. No, it's not like
about this game, right?
Now,
so is it?
There's like 2 games now that are unknown that I know nothing about, and they sound completely amazing because DZ is going crazy about whenever he talks about it.
He spoke all the right tunes, guys. It's like NXG is a lot of what you've said, Akira, in the past. NXG was resonating there about the. I mean, when you look at what Sony are pushing it in the East, I mean, they've just... What was that commercial that they just did with Kenshi?
Yeah, with Kenshi, yeah.
He's basically like God in Asia, right? In Japan.
Most popular singer in Japan, yeah.
And he's debuted.
It's again, it's one of the biggest marketing moves I've seen from in Japan in general. And they did not only end with the commercial, they even plastered full body pictures of him in buildings while he's holding the DualSense. So it's like a official PlayStation, marketing picture of him that's plastered on big ass buildings, like really full body. On a building, you can see the DualSense in his hand, and everybody's gonna see that might want a PlayStation 5 because of how much they love that guy. If I didn't have a PlayStation 5 and he showed me that, I would have bought one. Like,
you know what I'm wondering? You know what I'm wondering about what he saw? Because for DZ to see what he saw, he had to physically.
Hey, by the way, go ahead, OT. Sorry.
Yeah, so DZ had to physically go there. So now I'm starting to think, did he have to physically go there? And if he had to physically go there, now I'm starting to think, could there be a getaway remaster or something, or remake? It's like I'm trying to think of UK-based PlayStation studios, because this is a PlayStation exclusive, that could be doing something.
Yo, he's so sure it's PlayStation exclusive.
He's convinced.
It's a PlayStation.
It could very well be a multi-platform. It could very well be a
so sure it's a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah.
It could very well be a
Listen,
multi-platform.
listen to what DG's saying.
Nah, man,
It
we're
could
not playing
It could
that.
very well be a multi-plat.
We're not doing this.
Look, it could very well be a UK-based multi-platform studio as well, because there are quite a lot. Like, to be quite honest,
Oh, you know something, huh?
the bulk
You
of the
actually
game
know
industry-
something.
Let him speak.
Sorry.
Let the
the
man
bulk
talk.
of the bulk of the industry right now is heavily consolidated within the UK and Europe. There are more studios pound for pound in the UK and Europe combined, much more so than there is in much more so than there is in the Western region. So like the UK and the Europe are considered West. UK has far more greater studios and consolidation of studios in the UK and Europe than there is in the United States. I'll say that Japan might be getting matched with all the in their density might be getting matched out with or being edged out by China and Korea because those.
Yeah, no, I can actually agree with that. To be honest.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I agree with
So
that.
like, yeah. So like, so it could. So like, OT. While I want to believe that this is a PlayStation studio, I gotta say that look, it could very well be a second party or independent third party game that might be working with a first party. So like, we don't know.
Mhm.
We don't know.
I want to say something, by the way, about since you mentioned China and South Korea, right?
Mhm.
I've been keeping my eye on this, this publisher recently. I'm sure you've heard of them, like NetEase. You've heard of them, right?
Yeah.
I've been keeping an eye on this publisher because they, when they first showed themselves, right, in console space, they said like they want to ramp up their Japanese studios, even though they're a Chinese company. Want to ramp up Japanese studios, right? And now they got two very huge veterans in the Japanese game industry, which is Suda51 and Toshihiro Nagoshi, which is the creator of Yakuza and Judgment. And basically, when I saw the interviews from both developers, right, they basically expressed that they chose to go there because they doubled the manpower, their budget's way bigger than ever before with their previous companies, and they got more creative freedom now with these companies. And NetEase is interesting because NetEase is actually a Chinese company Sony worked with to bring PlayStation 5s to China, because you need to work with a Chinese company, to make business in China, right? And NetEase is the one that helped them sell PlayStation 5s in China.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it can open grounds to a partnership. And I would advocate it because Suda51 and Nagoshi are two of my favorite damn creators, and they're under one umbrella. So, I mean,
Go on.
Yeah.
I was going to piggyback off of that. I was going to say NetEase isn't necessarily new. They've been making moves for quite some time. Yeah, they've been making moves for quite some time. There's a number of studios within the UK and Europe, within the UK and the United States that they've made business with to do things. So like, what is it? Quantic Dreams, Quantic Dreams, shortly after Detroit launched, signed up with NetEase to stay independent because they didn't want to become. So the last thing I heard was that both Sony and Microsoft they were looking to get acquired by Sony, but they got bad press shortly after that investigation going on, and they were looking for money to start their next project, and a couple of big third-party publishers wanted to acquire them, including a first-party publisher, Microsoft. And basically what they did was they kind of wanted to keep their autonomy because their thing with Sony fell through due to the bad press they were getting. And they decided that they were going to remain independent, still work with whoever they want to, but also their aim was to now start doing. They had to make a pivot because they also wanted to start publishing their own titles. So they signed with NetEase to stay independent, get funding to build up their studio, and open up a publishing wing where they could sign smaller independent things. So they did that for. So NetEase has been doing that, and NetEase also did something with Bungie. So, Bungie wanted to start their new IP, and they, fresh off the heels of their partnership expiring with Activision, Bungie still needed money to continue pumping out new content for Destiny, and staff up for their new IP that they've already been teased. So, with that being said, they signed up with NetEase for I think they took out a loan with NetEase for about $100 or so million. No, not $100 million, $200 million to help staff up and to start making earnest way with their stuff. And now that Destiny's a money pumping thing, they're, this new IP that they're working on will be coming from NetEase's publishing arm. So like NetEase has been making quite a lot of moves. This won't be the there'll be a number of other studios that are probably gonna go to NetEase for a lot of things because they're not necessarily they're not viewed as draconic, so to speak, as Tencent. And when I say Tencent being draconic, Tencent is snapping everything up, while NetEase is forming strategic partnerships with certain people and whatnot. So like, they're kind of going about this thing in a sense inorganic. They're kind of doing things the way Sony's doing. They're starting partnerships and not necessarily acquiring studios, so to speak. They're starting partnerships and whatnot. So like, and they want to take certain things in-house. So they're doing that they're enticing devs the correct way, I think. So like it's going to be interesting.
It sounds similar to Sony's approach. Because they
keep an eye on them more.
They do partnerships and yet pretty much treat them like first party studios. They did that with Kojima.
Yeah, so apparently, need to keep a closer eyes on NetEase after all. It might be something. something
what did you guys think about regarding NXG? He what was it? He said something that what did you think of his takes? I'm trying to remember something that he said. NXG.
The one about hype, subscriptions and hype.
Oh, bro, that was one thing. Yeah, that was fantastic take, wasn't it? But we already covered that.
It was.
Absolutely. Really great.
You know, one question I would have loved to ask him: which engine would he have rated as the best of all time, irrespective to the platform? But I was too high, so I forgot.
You were too busy talking about what made him cry. I could kill you right now.
Sorry, I was trying. I am still high anyway. What was I asking?
You're hilarious, bro.
What was I talking about?
Hey, DZ.
Yes. I wanted to ask him because Killzone 2 is my favorite. I wonder what is his. Respective to platform.
DZ, I want to tell you something. Because I was trying to tell this to Wooly a while ago.
Every time Akira speaks, it's I want to tell you something, right? All right, I want to tell you that.
So there's this I shared this in the group, right? Game Science Studio, Black Myth Wukong developers shared a Chinese New Year greeting, just like they did last year with the Year of the Ox. Now it's Year of the Tiger, and there was this again. This is the thing that I was telling David a while ago that Wooly probably didn't hear. Basically, they built their own motion capture studio because before they had the money, but then they were not sure if they were gonna get anywhere, so they didn't do it. And then the first trailer dropped, and they realized they got a lot of fans waiting for their game. so they spend the money, right? It was very expensive, but it was worth it. Now, the thing is, they wanted, they're self-aware that they're a small studio, but they want to make their own God of War. They just said that outright. They really want to make a game like their God of War, but they also want to address their criticism about God of War. And their criticism about God of War is that they thought the enemy variety was really bad. Because
it's a fair criticism.
That's a valid criticism. That is valid. The enemy variety is very small.
It's the dominant letdown of the game.
Yeah,
they basically said that.
So many fucking trolls, which is true.
They basically said it like this, right? They said it can get a bit tiring to fight the same enemy over and over and over again. It can feel repetitive. That's their criticism, right? Even though God of War is still like their holy grail of a game. So they did this. So they want their own God of War, but they also want to address that criticism. And Journey to the West, I mentioned this to David. The Journey to the West story is really big. Wukong really fights a lot of gods and demons. And if we're going to talk about enemy types, I can already, on top of my head, already think of 160 enemy types that they can put in the game because they want to.
We all know you have a ridiculous memory, Akira.
So basically, the thing is, they want to address that criticism by putting as much enemy types as they can. And they said, if possible, they want to reach the 160. And if they can, they might go for 100 or 70 if it's too demanding. But yeah, they want to go to high numbers variety because they're going to take enemies from the novel itself, which again is tons of fucking enemies. The novel had the original novel got like over 2,000 pages, and almost every chapter there's an enemy that Wukong needs to fight, like 1, 2, or 3 enemies, and basically the thing is, because of their enemy types, some of them are humanoid, but some of them have 4 legs, right? So they thought, we can motion capture humans, but they have a problem with the 4 legs to capture, let's say, good data that will look natural. So what they did is they motion captured cats.
Wow. I love the fact that's what I was going to mention. I love the fact that sorry, Akira, finish your point and then I'll start.
So no, basically they said is cats are the perfect predators, right? They move fast, they got graceful movements. They basically cats are really good when it comes to mobility and movement. And when they try to scratch something, they're really fast and fast reflexes, right? Very unpredictable animals, basically. So yeah, what they did is they motion captures. They collected motion data from cats, and that's what they're going to apply to some of their 4-legged enemy types, so that it'll feel natural. That's why the tiger that they have there, one enemy type's a tiger. They base that movement from the cat.
That's amazing.
The motion data,
That was good.
and it's so impressive because it's cost effective. It's out of the box. You don't need to pay the cats, basically. You don't need to pay the cats, basically. I don't know, man. I've never heard of such a clever method before. I thought that.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
guys, we're actually going to wrap this up because I do want to keep this show focused on NXG specifically.
Sorry.
So no, it's all good. If we keep this focused on NXG, and then we'll save all this awesome, the rest of these awesome subjects for the next show, or maybe a hangout, Akira, if you. DZ and OT are free. Would love to do a hangout.
I also want to do a hangout.
Wilhelm, well, I was going to say, would you and HD Gamer and Faulkner like to do a hangout this week as well? Basically, the hangouts we're limiting it to a panel of 4 max, and it's kind of to keep things neat. Ideally 3, so maybe we can split it up. But with these hangouts, I want it to be more intimate, But then, as well as the hangouts, we've got the podcast at the weekend. I think I'm working this weekend, so it helps that we've done it tonight. But I'll keep you guys updated. Or am I off this weekend? I don't actually know. I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh, I'm so unorganized. I'll have a quick
that sounds
look.
like a great idea, Wooly, and I'd be down for that at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Wilhelm. I wasn't forgetting you. Don't worry. I've not even mentioned Remnant of Despair yet, but I do want to kind of sit down with all the panel members at some point through the with these hangout episodes as well. So yeah, please don't think I was forgetting you, brother.
No, don't worry.
Let me just see what I'm doing this weekend. I am alright, so literally I am working. Oh shit, I'm off on Saturday. Guys, the podcast is on. Sweet. Okay.
It's a busy week for Wooly.
It's a busy week for me indeed. Oh shit, no, I'm talking rubbish, guys. It's the 29th, isn't it, on Saturday, not the 5th. I'm working the 29th and 30th, so I'm off on the 5th. So we might have to miss the podcast this weekend, guys, but we're definitely down for next weekend. And throughout the week, I'll schedule a couple of hangouts and see who's on board. Wilhelm, OT, DZ, HD. And we'll get some. Would love to interview, have a few of the chat on as well at some point. Get fresh people in.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be awesome.
There's so many guys. I'd love to hear their voices and opinions.
Yeah, and Akira as well. Sorry, it's so many of you. It's just honestly, I always forget one of you. It's annoying.
Hey, sorry guys, I really need to go because I need to take over for the baby shift.
Take care,
so
OT, brother.
Take care, guys.
Much love.
All right.
Bye.
Take care. OT.
Bye, guys.
I'm gonna bounce out as well.
With his departure, everyone, let's wrap this up. DZ, where can we find you, my guy?
You can find me on Twitter at DZDevs, and pick my brain and whatnot. There's stuff I can and cannot talk about, so hit me up on there.
Yeah, facts. Wilhelm, my dude, did you enjoy it?
Absolutely did. It was a very, very enjoyable chat. NXG's chat, absolute chat.
Yeah.
Are we still? Not anymore.
Where can we find you, bro?
You can find me under @MaximusWilhelm on Twitter, and I just want to get a quick thing out. Akira already messaged you that, but I actually wanted to tell you that on last week's episode, but was unfortunately cut short due to the meaty subject we had. DZ alone made like half of the runtime with the things he said. What I wanted to say is,
oh shit! Shots fired.
Shots fired.
I just want to say
what I wanted to say quickly is, firstly, congrats on your daughter. A really beautiful family you got yourself.
Oh yeah, no, thank you.
Congrats.
And thank you so much. Like, you were the person who gave me like the opportunity to be here, and that's like an incredible opportunity you gave to me. Like, seriously, I can't understand the kind of shit people throw at you. Like, I'm proud of calling you my friend, my dude.
Oh, my dude.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, I appreciate you. Absolutely, that's why we're committed to Wooly. Also, DZ, I just wanted to tell you, right, DZ, that a while ago, like, I think that was Drakender asked a question, like, has Horizon gone gold because you're one of the cast members? Maybe you should. Maybe you can.
That shit's hilarious.
You are killing me. It could be any day.
It should be any like day Varl, now. Man. Hey, Varl looks really good, though. Like, come on, man. Varl looks really good.
What's his name? Vaughn. Is it Vaughn?
Varl, yeah, Varl. Dude, like, from Horizon Zero Dawn, he got a glow up, man. I'm telling you, he looks really good in Forbidden West.
Here we go. So let's also ask my boy HD, where can we find you, my guy?
Yeah, hey go. Just want to say it was an awesome show, and I think you probably even get more content out of that, especially sort of his talk about the details and the extra, interactivity, immersiveness of the worlds. I know you're really big on that, Wooly, so that'd be something good to talk about in the future.
Yeah, honestly, that hit all the right notes for me, dude. Like, what he said about what he's looking forward to, absolutely, like, spoke to my soul. He mentioned all the right things, and I couldn't believe, like, it was such a vindication,
Absolutely, same.
games that keep me up at night, man.
Yeah,
I don't even
carry
know
on,
what it is.
carry on. Sorry, HD, bro.
I was just gonna say,
Sorry,
higher res and all that is great, but like that real sort of that living world, that feel to them, that immersiveness, the interactivity, and that's a whole other subject. I think it's really great. You can find me at HD_gamer_84. Always down for a chat. Just hit me up, and I hope to see you guys again soon.
That would be awesome. I'm trying to find that picture of you, DZ, with Val, but I can't seem to find it right now. It's frustrating.
I posted that. Like,
he posted it not too long. Akira posted it not too long ago, but like,
you can search my name. Yeah.
I kid you not. When Akira posted that and everything, there were like 5 people that literally came in and asked me, "You did motion cap for the game? Can you tell me how the thing was?" And I'm just like, all I did was just laugh, and I said, okay, and then I left. I didn't answer any questions. I just laughed.
It did look like Varl.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, you found it?
No, I still not found
No,
it
you
yet.
you need to search my ad,
Yeah.
right? And then just type DZ after.
I have. I've. Okay. You're at right. Okay, and DZ. Okay. I'll
Yeah,
do
my
that.
ad and then type DZ after. It's like
who
how
have
you
I-
search.
Who have I not sent? All of you have given your outros, right?
I'm good. Yeah, Akira.
Akira,
that's
yeah.
good.
No, but yeah, I've done it, bro. But he's just not. I can't seem to find him. Anyway, well, I see a lot of booty when I type DZ in. I see a lot of booty. Oh shit! Right, guys, that we're getting off that. Right, okay. Don't type in DZ on Twitter. What the hell? I'm so sorry.
That's coming up.
I'm so sorry.
Shut it down.
Shut it down. Fuck. I'm gonna block all that. I'm gonna block all that out because
I gotta go. Guys, I'll let me later. I'm out.
Much love.
Alright,
Everybody in the chat. Everybody in the chat. I can't believe that. That's so funny. Do I get rid of that or do I keep it? I don't know. It was hilarious. Thank you.
You get demonetized, bro.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone in the chat. You've all been lit tonight. I hope you really enjoyed listening to NXG. Everything he said to me was just so on the money. How he articulates himself has just been so just pinpoint, potent, like just straight to the point. And I got a lot from this.
He's also a tease. Like, I hope he knows that.
Yeah. He's awesome. He's awesome, and
he is awesome.
Yeah, he behaved himself. He didn't break NDA, which I'm really. I did say to him, I really don't want us to pressure you to breaking any kind of NDA. So tell us what questions you don't want asking. And he said to me, there are no questions that you can't ask me. If I can't tell you, I won't. If I can, I will. So
all right.
yeah,
then good.
Then you're good. But yeah, it was funny, Akira. Everybody,
you guys need to know, like, next gen is coming and NXG confirmed it. All right, so let's look forward to that.
Next gen is coming, so yeah. And just remember, we're only not even 18 months into this gen, with like 14 months into this generation. It's nothing, guys.
Yeah.
It's barely getting started.
Nothing.
So,
Nothing.
So yeah, but guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll wrap this up now. Wish you all a very pleasant evening. Really appreciate you joining us tonight on this incredible landmark episode. Love you all. Stay awesome, and catch you all next time. I'm not gonna say it.